Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Matt and it is Maniac Monday. First and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in today. I know it's been a hot minute since I've done a review. I got a little busy with the holidays. Schedule got away from me. We had a big old snowstorm, which I had to dig out people. Other than that, I just needed a little bit of time for myself as well. But I am back at it, and I'm going to go back to my full length Monday through Friday reviews. So this week is going to be a fun one. I got lined up for you. I got werewolf films galore. So this is going to be all werewolves this week. So definitely tune in for some very well known ones, and then some that people don't really talk about as much, or they don't talk about it at all. Anyways, now I do hope that all of you guys are having a great morning, evening, dawn, day, or dusk as well. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And then also do check out the stuff in the description box for more information on the daily film, such as your brief synopsis, your starring cast, director, runtime of the cut I'm watching, along with an MPAA rating, if there is one that exists, some trivia, and then, of course, a link for either a trailer or a scene from the movie. It is very, very, very rare when I do not have a link for either the trailer or a scene. So do keep that in mind. I put a little bit extra in there for you guys to have a bigger bite of it, and hopefully it'll help you decide if you wish to track down a copy and check it out. Because today's is definitely one that is very easily to get. It should be in every horror collector's collection, in my opinion, especially if you are fans of creature features, especially ones that came out in the 80s, because this one came out back in 1981. It is one that I have loved since I was a small child, probably since I was like 7 or 8 years old. This is one of those that I just absolutely have loved since day number one. And like I said, this came out in 1981, so it was 39 years ago today. It is none other than An American Werewolf in London. Yes, folks, I do have a double dip on this one. This was a very good release for its time. It is a special edition, collector's edition. It is not really limited to any crazy number, so don't think that this one's limited to like 5,000 or any crazy number like that. This one is just your basic run-in-the-mill special edition DVD. It does have special features on it, but I'm not really here to talk about the special features on this one, because a lot of them they did port over to this one here. This one here is your definitive release that you have out there. This is the Arrow Blu-ray edition. They put the Arrow has gone to blue cases now. I'm not really hip to that. Now this is what the artwork is that most people see it as when they look for this movie. This is that newly commissioned artwork. I do really like it. It is very rare when I am torn between the original artwork and the newly commissioned stuff, but this one is definitely one where I had to basically flip a coin and tell you which one I like more. But it was a 2 out of 3 trial, and the original artwork ended up winning, which, whatever, it is what it is, and I like the original artwork. Alright, back to these ones. But as far as special features go with this bad boy, this thing is packed to the frickin' gills, man. There is a making of featurette where they talk about it's a featurette that goes over the history of the Universal Werewolves, which is very, very cool. It starts out with werewolf in what is it? Werewolf of London, or whatever it is. That one it's like one of the most iconic of its time, in my opinion. I do happen to think it is It is slightly better than the Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman that we all know and love from Universal Studios. Nothing against that one, but I do happen to think that it's just a little bit better. Now, as far as comparing Wolfman to this one, I'm still going to go with this one because this is childhood nostalgia at its finest. Now, so there's that great feature on the history of the werewolves. There's a nice interview with John Landis. There's a bunch of stuff on here with John Landis where he talks about how he came up with the idea for American Werewolf London, and when he first started out with the movie Schlock and everything. It doesn't go on to a whole lot after his stuff after this one, because this is obviously what their main intention of focusing on is. There's also some really cool stuff on there with special effects stuff, which it had a couple of different interviews with Rick Baker, who won an Academy Award for Best Makeup Effects for 1981, and it was the first that anyone has. It was a brand new category that they had just started, and he was the very first person to ever win that, and that is just an amazing accomplishment. And I really look up to Rick Baker and his effects work, because it is always top notch. It never disappoints. It doesn't always age the best, but it is still very fun, all the way up into, like, even his very first film, The Incredible Melting Man. The effects in that are still absolutely fun and work. It's just, good stuff. The movie itself is boring as hell, but, it's boring and bad, but it's entertaining, if that makes sense. This one is good and entertaining and just gold all the way around. Now, exactly what is An American Werewolf in London about? It's about these two young men that go backpacking across London, both David and Jack. David is played by David Naughton, and Jack is played by Griffin Dunne. Both of them happen to come across this little pub in the middle of nowhere called the Slaughtered Lamb. But it's called the Slaughtered Lamb. And when they're there, they are not greeted very with welcome arms. They're not necessarily people that the pub regulars are wanting to see, because they know a deep dark secret that is going on inside the Yorkshire Moors. So definitely it gives you a very deep dark dive right away, because you're going into straight from going into the Slaughtered Lamb. They get a couple little jokes tossed around, and then eventually Griffin Dunne's character decides he's going to ask about what is with the pentagram written on the wall and all the candles all over the place, which in turn they are basically told to leave. They're walking along. They are told to stay along the road. They are not paying attention. They walk off the road, and they are just wandering around in the moors without knowing anything, where they're at, where they're going, what direction they're going. There's no light. It's extremely dark. The only light that you have is from the full moon above. So it is a very scary scenario, in my opinion, if you're in a place where you're not used to being. It's the classic fish out of water story when it comes to that. A fish out of story that turns into a werewolf that chews people up and eats people and kills them in various places and different ways of chomping them up. It's very, very cool. But back to where I was going at, they're lost on the moors. They quickly hear a wolf's howl. They don't know what it is exactly. They're scared, as anybody in their right mind would be. They go the opposite direction of whatever the howl was that scared them. They figure out that this creature is basically stalking them, and it is circling them, and they have nowhere they can really go. They decide they're going to run off another direction, and as they're going, David falls down, and Jack decides, "Oh, you asshole, you scared me, blah blah blah." He goes down to pick him up. Werewolf snatches him right up right there, and just is ripping Griffin Dunne's character to shreds, mind you. Like, the effects are so cool when it comes to the blood and guts and the gore for something so mainstream and something that has won an Oscar. It is crazy to think that there was this much blood that was in it. It really pushed the boundaries. I'm not gonna lie. For a mainstream type film, this one pushed boundaries. And now, so Jack is killed, blah, 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 like what I was saying with the gore. David gets up and starts to run away, quickly turns around. Oh shit, needs to go back and help his friend Jack. Jack is dead. The werewolf decides it's going to, or the creature, because you don't know what it is at that moment, other than it's a werewolf. That's all you know. It's not really anything you've seen yet. It's all done in the shadows. You don't really have a good look at what the creature looks like until a little further in the movie, and which David Naughton, he survives the werewolf attack, because the locals that were at the pub come and they kill the creature, which in turn, fast forward a little bit down the road, David wakes up in a hospital bed, and in that hospital bed, he quickly finds out that his friend Jack is definitely dead. Their parents have been notified of everything, both Jack and David's parents, and that he is now recuperating in this hospital. And there's a very funny line where one of the nurses goes, "Hey, I think he's a Jewish man," and the other nurse, played by Jenny Agutter, who is David Naughton's love interest in here, she goes, "How do you know?" And then she talks about him being circumcised and this and that, and then there's a whole thing between the two nurses and the doctor, played by John Woodvine, that they are. It is a common practice here in the United States to be circumcised, so it shows that is an aged thing that definitely shows, and it's a European thing that they are not into the circumcisions. So. That is a funny little joke that they snuck in there on that, which there are funny little silly little jokes like poked in here. It's like a patchwork quilt of different types of horror blended into this overall masterpiece, in my opinion. And then so the rest of the movie, David he finds out that, well, first off, he doesn't believe that he's a werewolf. He gets these weird visions from his dead friend Jack, and throughout the whole movie, Jack is deteriorating. He is basically becoming a very rotten, nasty corpse. It's gnarly from the beginning, but he is really, really gnarly towards the end, which is really cool. Like, he has holes in his face. You can see his teeth. It's just completely rotten and very visceral. And so his friend Jack, the visions of him that he keeps seeing, basically he's telling him, oh, hey, you're a werewolf, blah, 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 you're going to turn into a monster. The only way you can stop it is to die, essentially. And also along the way, David has these very bizarre dreams, like one of them where these group of soldiers that are done up like werewolf type creatures that kick in the door and completely annihilate David and his entire family. It's a very, very scary dream that it used to scare the shit out of me when I was a young kid, that whole scene when they come in and do that. Something about those soldiers just really scared me, and the fact that they're dressed up kind of like Nazis, I think it makes it even more visceral, because there is a whole thing about basically a metaphor for a Jewish family being taken away and slaughtered because of a crazed person that has come up with these crackpot ideas that Jewish people are bad and and need to eliminate them. The final solution shit. That kind of stuff. So that right there, I already knew at the moment that they were scary and bad people, minus the fact they were monsters, which in real life they were monsters. They were normal people that became monsters, and that's what David becomes. He is a normal person that becomes a monster throughout the time of this film. And since he survived the werewolf attack, classic mythos is you become a werewolf. And so you have some very gnarly scenes where you get to see David as the werewolf and attacking these various people. This has a nice hefty body count, just to let you know. The coup de grace at the very end is just, oh, it's beautiful. It's stunning. You got head decapitations. You got a giant bus wrecking and people flying all over the place. You got the crazed man, John Landis, who directed this, doing a stunt in there. You got all kinds of just wild craziness going on in the final sequence of this movie. It definitely has a great payoff from both point A to B. It is a wonderful ride. Like the soundtrack and everything just really just culminates and makes this just beautiful masterpiece of a film that I feel needs to be talked about more. Than I think it needs to be held up there with regards to such films like The Shining, The Exorcist, or Suspiria. Things like that. I feel like this is just as good as a lot of those top tier key films that Hollywood does spew out from time to time. They do have gold every now and again, and this is definitely one of them that was pure gold. Them folks over at Universal definitely hit the nail right on the head with John Landis and the entire crew of this film. It's just stunning. Now, as far as any kind of ratings would go, on a technical side, this thing's a 4 out of 5. It is a technical masterpiece. It is almost perfect. There's nothing really that I can really key that I can complain about, other than there are just tiny little plot holes here and there. Like, what? But other than that, it works perfectly. It's got a nice blend of every genre there is. Now, this one is, I will give this a perfect 5 out of 5 as far as an entertainment side goes, because of everything that is culminating into this just blending in to make this stunning piece of work. The acting is on point. The direction of everything, where it's going, it works. That you never are once going like scratching your head going, why is it doing this now? Why are we doing that? What's the point of it? You get it goes from A to B in a very good, precise direction. It doesn't lag at all either. And it has by far one of the coolest werewolf transformations of all time. I don't care what you say, it doesn't have the coolest werewolf. Now, don't get me twisted on that. It has one of the coolest transformations. I think some of the coolest werewolves that I have ever seen are in Twilight. No, I'm kidding with you. No, I'm joking with you. I think Dog Soldiers and the Howling had really had cooler werewolves. I thought they were really cool, especially Dog Soldiers. So definitely, that's a werewolf movie that you guys should check out. Is Dog Soldiers as well, and the Howling. There's so many of them. This week's going to be a solid week. There's not a dog in the bunch. Now, so I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. This is damn near a flawless movie in my opinion. You got nothing bad about it. Love it, love it, love it. Love your, not as much as I love your faces though. I love each and every one of you, and I cannot wait to see it tomorrow for whichever werewolf movie I decide to slide in for tomorrow. This week I'm not 100% where and when I'm putting these movies, but I do know I do have everything on lock. So do keep that in mind. There's not going to be any crazy dark horse coming out of nowhere and overtaking anything. So I already have this week on lock. Love your faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.